The first Conference of Ministers of Information of Non-Aligned Countries, COMINEC, has reached its fourth day and will be officially closed tomorrow, January the 30th. The recent COMINEC plenary session was still in the midst of covering the general views of Ministers of Information and heads of delegations. 18 participating countries have made their statements, among those were delegates from Colombia, Zaire, South Yemen and Syria.
Head of the Zairean delegation talked on issues concerning the establishment of a balanced flow of information between developing and developed countries. The balance should be established in all areas, but in this case we are concerned with the field of information and telecommunications.
On the evening of January the 28th, the committee as a whole agreed on the draft resolutions submitted by the Intergovernmental Council. The committee has also completed several resolutions to be included by establishing small working groups. However, there were still several issues that have not been discussed concerning the final declaration, broadcasting organizations of non-aligned countries, and the Jakarta appeal, which will be discussed later today. The number of member seats among participating nations in the 4 continents was the subject of a heated discussion last night. If all discussions run smoothly, the committee sessions will be finished by this afternoon.
Head of the Zimbabwe delegation, Dr. Naomi Niwatiwa, explained that Western news agencies are more interested in third world countries in times of trouble rather than in times of improvement and development.
International media more interested in that, not emphasizing the fact that since independence the government has made the primary education free, something that was not possible later, not emphasizing that the government had made a deliberate effort to be building schools and that people were involved in self-reliance projects. In other words, there was a total ignoring of the development the government, the newly independent states was doing to consolidate its independence. However, there was a lot of emphasis on the problems that the country was having, and we felt that this wasn't a balanced rapportage. It was emphasizing the negative part, and I think if anybody visits any country, you would find out every country has problems, and we would want to hear the similar kind of reporting of both the developing that is taking place and some of the realities of the problems that are taking place in their proper context. And I feel that this has been a major problem.
Abdulaziz Al-Suwayeh, head of the Saudi Arabian delegation, explained about Saudi Arabia's specific experience in international news media coverage.
Saudi Arabia, as one of the developing countries and one of the leading countries in the Arab world, with its developed and emergence position in the international scene, have really faced so many distortion of facts and news about it is sort of life, and a lot of sometimes misinterpretation of its intentions from the Western media, and we always try to play it cool, really, and to be far away from whatever misinterpreted news or misleading news sometimes reaches what I can call unmoral stage of coverage of the Saudi way of life and Saudi character and the Saudi personality and Arab and Gulf personality in particular. We find that Western media distort the way of our life and distort some major facts in our foreign policies or in our oil policies that sometimes takes Saudi Arabia and the Arabs as the creator of certain issues that really they were not related to our own making, but because of it's because of some maybe economic faults of the Western way of life, or because of their economic system that they cannot deal with, so they will just put it on the Arab countries, especially in the field of oil. So this kind of experience we face in Saudi Arabia and in the Arab world in general, really.
I think we can reach parity by the year 1990. That is a view I have been advocating for a long time. But we must abandon all our past backward methods of doing things. We must jump into the 21st century in our technology, and we can do it. First, we need satellites. We can't operate by radio and telephone and telegraphy. All that is a relic of the past. Today, satellites are available very, very cheap. There are three concepts of third world satellites. One, put forward by my fellow Sri Lankan, originally an Englishman called Arthur C. Clarke, who invented the satellite in the last war. He lived in Sri Lanka since 1930, and he works very closely with us. He first put forward the idea of a third world satellite at the first meeting of the IPDC in UNESCO. The second is the practical proposition, which I suggest we accept immediately, that has been put forward by Richard Butler, Director General of ITU, who was the ITU representative on the New World Information and Communication Order of UNESCO. And the first thing he did as becoming Director General of ITU is to put forward a proposal for a very low-cost satellite where every village in the world can be reached at a very low cost. Something like you can get TV for 10 cents a minute, which means we can all afford to pay 10 cents US for that purpose.
In the regular budget allocated to the program sectors, the breakdown is as follows. Education, 36.77%. The natural sciences, 30.28%. The social sciences, 9.20%. Culture, 11.21%. Communication, 7.09%. And information sciences, which is informatics, 5.35%. UNESCO's annual budget, incidentally, it is for the biennium 1984-1985, the budget is $374.40 million. $374 $2.40 million. But the annual budget of the organization represents a little more, just a little more than 2.5 hours of spending on armaments. The budget represents barely 45% of the annual budget of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology.